evening. Keeps up the cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and joined this Thursday. We got a couple of different co-hosts. Digger Jim couldn't be here. We have him in timeout this week. So we have Steve the Voice White. How you doing tonight, Steve?
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
A guy, it's been too long since he's been back on my shows. We have, of course, Pocan Joe, Up to Evil.
What's going on, folks? Good to be here. And that voice, I'm telling you, the voice, sexy.
Right? And, of course, our man of the hour, the guest. We have Bronze Age Bryon making his first appearance on the 1011 and on the channel. Welcome, Bryon.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Room. Thank you, chat.
Now, Bryon, before we get going and say hi to the audience, we're going to give you a minute or two to say who you are, what your channel's about. We'll go say hi to the audience, and then we'll come back to you for your first book, sir.
Sounds great. Fantastic. So with those who don't know me, I am Bronze Age Bryon. I'm in Bradenton, Florida, comic collector since 1977, 78. Got into the YouTube stuff because I'm a TV production teacher, and as YouTube kind of gained in stream, decided to, you know what, the best way to teach these kids how to do social media, become potential influencers, is make a channel of my own. So that's how Bronze Age Bryon was born. The name, actually, I got to tip my hat to Jeff Itkin, the Golden Age Guru, because I was trying to think of names, and Golden Age Guru, and I was like, man, what do I have that sounds like that? I'm like, wait a minute. I collect Bronze Age comics. My name is Bryon. Boom. There we go. So it just came to me in a flash, and that's how they came about. But like I said, I've been collecting comics a long time. It's definitely one of my great loves. And now that I've made all these incredible friends, thanks to YouTube, thanks to social media, thanks to Comics with Bueller, he is actually the catalyst to all of this, who connected me to those, connected me to Sean, who we've spoke of before, and everything just felt like dominoes after that. And we have such a wonderful core group of friends that love comics and love the community, and I'm so honored and blessed to be a part of it.
Well, thank you for coming on. And for those of you wondering, yes, he was contractually obligated to wear a Conan shirt tonight. But let's say hi to the audience, and then we'll come back to you. First in, as always, James Oscrucis. How you doing tonight, sir? G-Man, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Man, that is the man.
He is. We got to get him on the show. I'm going to keep harping on him until he relents. Hulk Collector Kevin, how you doing tonight, sir? A great member of our community, always sharing out our streams. Brad over from Canada, how you doing tonight, Brad? Nice to see you.
Fellow White Walker.
And we have one of my all-time favorite people, Jerry the Jitterbug. How you doing, Jerry?
Jerry.
And the original herself, Miss Tina Carrington. How you doing, Tina? Nice to see you.
Eurogenus.
That's right. You know, it's always going to be a good stream when Tina's here.
Oh, yeah.
And we got Pocan Joe saying hi to everybody, and we got a lot of conversation going on. Holy cow.
A lot of conversation running already.
Right? That's okay. We like Mr. Chop and Drop. Nice to see you, sir. How you doing, Daniel? Thanks for coming in, buddy. All right, and I'm gonna keep giving the silent nod as I do as people come in. But it's not about everyone else tonight. It's about Bryon. So, Bryon, first of all, did you have fun picking out your books?
I did. It was a tough 12 to actually get, but then once I kind of started narrowing down, I'm like, you know what, this makes sense. It's an easy 12, and I decided for the most part to stay within the spinner rack, with the exception of 2 books. All of these are purchased by me during my lifetime off the spinner rack.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
You know what I like is my LCS still has a few spinner racks up, so whenever you need to hear that sound, you can just walk in and they go, oh, okay, I'm good.
Scratch that. Yeah.
Right? It's just one of those things that takes you instantly back to your childhood.
Yes.
But let's get into your first book and see what one of your favorites is and why.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start right at the top since I am Bronze Age Bryon. Let's talk about DC Comics and the book that kicked off the Bronze Age. This is Green Lantern Green Arrow, Volume 2, Issue 76, a very sought-after book by a lot of people. I know we talked a little bit prior to going live about books that people talk about a lot. This will be the only one you get out of my 12 that people talk about a lot. So this was an A-OK to me a couple Christmases ago by my 2 very, very good friends, Steve and Jeff. and just blew my mind at the time, because I had just really started. We started getting into the AOK thing. We hadn't really got there yet, but now we do it all the time. We buy books for each other and do things for each other. But this was fantastic. I had to walk away. I'm like, I'm gonna cry. I got to walk away. Like when they bestowed this upon me, it is in impeccable condition. None of my books are graded, actually. I have, I think, 2 maybe graded books that were just kind of passed along to me, but everything is bagged, boarded, and essentially raw. But fantastic, obviously legendary and iconic cover. Denny O'Neil on the writing, the legendary Neil Adams, who I was blessed enough to meet in 2016 prior to passing a little while ago. And I mean, I was so nervous to meet him. Because I heard a couple of different stories, and I've heard, night and day stories with people meeting Neil Adams. And my daughter was with me at a con, and he was there, and she was like, just, go talk to him or whatever. So I kind of like sheepishly went up to him and just said, I love your work. I love Batman. I love, Green Arrow. And he was like, why don't you sit down? We'll talk about it.
Oh, nice.
Mind blown. Sat down. We took a photo. I mean, we talked for easily 30 minutes about DC Comics and Denny O'Neil and his experiences, all over the industry. It was fantastic. I couldn't
have love that.
A greater thing.
Did you ever get to talk to Denny either? Or?
I did not know. So that was as close as I got to either of them. So, but this is very near and dear to my heart. And of course, it leads off. And like I say, Green Arrow is one of my all-time favorites. We'll see him again later on in the 12. But I think I have almost every, except for like More Fun Comics and Mort Whittinger stuff. I've got every Green Arrow book published. I've got it all. So I've got the whole collection.
And Green Arrow's great because I always loved the television version of him wasn't for me because he was basically Batman light on TV. Yeah. Like he lost his personality, he lost his quips, he lost what makes him him. Yeah. And also the big heart he has with everything he does in his communities and stuff like that. Yeah. But he was just, and whenever I saw Green Arrow, you always think Mike Grell just because of his appearance, and
correct.
But
so you did mention, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go.
But you did mention you mentioned the book that it is significant. Do you want to tell the audience why that particular book is significant?
Well, like I mentioned, it is a swerve in the Green Lantern line. So this is volume 2, and they kind of renamed, the volume here. So starting with 76 up through issue 122, it is a buddy book, basically buddy cop kind of adventure stuff. Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and this is where comics really, I think, probably in the mainstream first started really diving into social issues. I know it's kind of all too familiar nowadays in comics, perhaps a little more saturated. I wish comics would just give us a little more far-flung adventures and kind of stay out of, because this used to be escapism stuff.
Yes.
The comics to escape, not to go, oh, wait, this is a mirror reflection of Fox News. No. I don't want that. I want something far flung and just out there. But
lose yourself.
Kind of needed at the time, because you're talking, early 70s, 1971, kicking off a whole new age of comics. So it was kind of necessary at that time, and they hit a ton of hot button issues in that run that Denny and Neil had with this before they passed the torch over to Mike Grell doing pencils. Mm-hmm. So, but love this book. Fantastic.
Great.
Wow. Well, that is a good lead off.
Coming out the gate hot.
Yeah. And I know Milt's going to love that book. There's a lot of green on it.
Fire.
So, great lead off. All right. Number 2, sir.
Book number 2, also Neil Adams. This book was actually passed to me from my father. My dad grabbed comics here and there. Loved artwork. When we were kids, my dad was a steel worker. So that's also a little bit of an incorporation of the Bronze Age Bryan stuff because he worked in the furnaces and the kilns and molten steel and stuff like that. Because I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so Steeltown boy.
Oh, yeah.
But so he had a few books that were passed to me. This is one that I did hang on to. I lost several of them that I've tried to replace over the years. But this is one. And this is where we get the first new look of Green Arrow. So this is Neil Adams, a little different iteration, and just a real great styling. And this is a look that Green Arrow held for every bit of 14, 15 years before Grell kind of reinvented him when he got to relaunch the title. And I think that's also what I like a lot about Bronze Age comics. Growing up, you could bounce around to a different artist. You could throw Dick Giordano in there, or you could throw Mike Grell in there, and there wasn't much variation. You still felt at home reading the title, even though
the character still looked like the character, and there was a design by numbers, but kind of with him.
Yeah, people weren't trying to reinvent it. They were just
right.
This
and they do that too much now.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we can't even get an artist to stay on a book for 6 issues.
No.
It's tough. So you mentioned the Batman connection. Here you go. Green Arrow in the TV show was Batman Light. Did you hear a lot? But sometimes you have to lean into things. So I did eventually lean because I love Green Arrow. I leaned into it. You know, it was what it was. Stephen Amell's portrayal was fine. I don't like how that series ended up. But season 2 and 3, I think, are probably the most solid of that series on TV. But Brave and the Bold, fantastic. Issue 85 here with Neil Adams stuff. And I've got a nice run of Brave and the Bold. Starting with what is the one before this? I have the Sergeant Rock cover. I think that's 84, 83.
84.
Yeah, so then I've got a nice huge run of Brave and the Bold. Don't have a complete set, but I've got a nice run of this particular series. So,
now, when I was a kid, Brian, I read a lot of comics. Of course, Conan and Spider-Man being the 2 main ones. But my third main one, which people don't know about, is I love the Brave and the Bold. It was a great team-up book.
Yeah.
And it had my favorite iteration of Batman, and I'm not a big Batman guy, but I loved him then with the gray suit and the yellow and the blue cape. Wow. And I just love the team up aspect of it. It's the same reason I like 2 and 1, the same reason I like team up over at Marvel. And, you know, you can get into 1 issue or 2 issue at the most, sometimes a 2-issue story arc, but you got a complete read. And when you're a kid, man, you're getting things off the spinner rack.
Correct.
You're not following 6 issues because you're never going to see the 6 issues in a row while you're trying to buy them.
It was never guaranteed, right? It was never guaranteed.
So it was great to get those team up books like that. You know, you had a complete tale in your hand, and they were always fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned some other great team up books there from Marvel. I've got the entire 100 issue run of Marvel 2 and 1. Got a lot of the great John Byrne stuff from the Marvel team up with Spidey. And this is probably where the Marvel movies actually, I think, bested DC is early on. They would give you just a couple of heroes and not try to shoehorn too many people in. And they built that universe. You know, when DC came to the table, they basically just like threw up on the whole thing, you know, and it's like, oh, hey, you know, let's give you all these characters. Nah, you know, and then of course you kill your main guy in one of the launch movies, you know, whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but you know.
See, I'm terrible, Brian. I go to both studios movies and I just have a blast, and I enjoy that they're there for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's where you have to be really honest. If you love these characters and love these books, enjoy the movies for what they are and what you can get from them. So, all right, here's
I love the Brave and the Bold. Ooh, all right, go ahead, number 3.
So, this is Batman 428, part of the legendary Death in a Family series. The famous, how do I want to put this? The famous non-dangerous 900 number call-in to decide whether or not Jason Todd will survive.
This was the deciding factor on American.
We're going to put it on you. And then, of course, in the years since, we've heard all kinds of different things like, oh, well, you know, somebody, even in the absence of bots and the internet, you know, somebody got in there and they voted. You know, it's been rigged. You know, the election's rigged.
They just want to see him die.
Did you vote, Brian?
So I actually did not. So
neither did I. But when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did it.
Yeah, and that's why I think I love this, and I love how they did it, because even after he is, spoiler alert, pummeled by that crowbar by the Joker, you thought, well, this is it. He gets up. This guy gets up, makes his way to the door where he thinks he's going to open the door and just kind of crawl out of there with his mom, and he's like, it's locked. And you're like, what? And then boom. You know, so it's like, okay, he's not going to survive that. You know, so that was just crazy. I don't know if you know or not, they're doing what they call a faux simile of this book next month, and they're print the story that we the other story by Jim Starlin. So we're going to get the opposite version, same cover, but
he lives. Yeah.
So of course I've got that on. Shout out to Mike.
I'm going to have to get that because I'm curious to read that now.
Yeah. The story that was never published, because I imagine they had to have them both ready to go, right?
Exactly. Right. So fantastic. So
bet you they got a foil cover for
great 4-issue covers.
I guarantee there's a foil cover.
Maybe that's Jack and Roy
$9.99.
I'm sure there'll be 20 covers of this, before too long. So. But this was from Phantom of the Attic Comics in Washington, Pennsylvania. A guy named Ed used to run that. Ed, if you're still out in the comics universe, you're probably in your late 70s. I love you, brother. You gave a lot of joy to my life going there to Phantom of the Attic in Washington.
And, we talk about it quite a bit. Like the Bronze Age is my favorite age of comics as well. But I love that on most of the covers, they pertain to exactly what was in the book.
Yes.
And some of those covers, there was so much, there was a whole story just going on the cover, let alone what you got to read.
Yeah.
And then when you crack that book open, you were reading it for 20 minutes. You weren't reading it for 5 and you were through it.
Yeah.
But, just a great age for comics. All right,
Yes,
all right, number 4, sir.
Yep. And then another spinner rack book, if you can believe it. DC Comics 26. Purchased when I was camping with my grandparents at the Wolf's KOA. So this was fantastic. This is actually when I fell in love with the Teen Titans. So we'll see them a little bit later on in the list as well here. But just I think I ended up loving the interior story with the Titans more than I did the adventure with Superman and Green Lantern here. But it just really got me enthralled. George Perez doing the pencils for the Titans, and they're fighting the protoplasm that they have to push back through this galaxy that it came through. I mean, it is such an incredible story, and this has become an iconic cover, obviously, like a lot of other things, and goes to be the first Bronze Age appearance of the Teen Titans after they've kind of been absent from comics for a little bit. You have the Silver Age Titans. Our friend Ryan Magic Lasso just finished his run of the Silver Age Titans, so we were pretty excited for him to get that all wrapped up. But this got me into the Teen Titans and had me pulling stuff off the spinner rack for these guys. Starfire, still a hottie today, but all that artwork that is in there. I love this book. I've got almost the entire run of DC Comics Presents as well. But again, another one of those great team up books. It's like Superman and who are we going to get this month? Complete tales, great stories. Occasionally they carry over into something else, but 9 times out of 10, you've got a complete story right here in your hand that you can enjoy. And if you did miss the next month, then you didn't really miss. You just maybe missed an opportunity.
And a lot of time, the cover artist is the interior artist, so you knew what to expect in the book.
I missed
the great thing about the whole DC Present thing, especially in the Bronze issue. They kind of went back to that golden age kind of concept of telling multiple stories in it.
Yes.
Which it's just beautiful because you get to introduce a character, plus you get characters that so it was just an easier melt in to these newer characters, and it really makes it resonate. Because the first appearance of Teen Titans was Brave and the Bold, right? 3 of them. I just recently picked the book up, but and in this, and that was a straight line story in it. They just happened to be together, and then all of a sudden you get this. Hey, look at this great cover. Look at Green Lantern. Look at Superman fight each other. Yeah. Oh, by the way, hey, we want to show you something else here. Let us know what you think about it.
Yeah,
and it was just a great introduction. So I'm super happy to see that book.
Yeah, thank you. Well placed. One of my favorites. If you get a little close, it's gonna because it sat out on the picnic table. It's a book well loved. When I was
okay. Well-loved books are the best books.
Yeah. So, but again, and that's why everything tonight, like I said, just by me.
Starfire is great and all, but I'm a fan. My favorite Starfire is the original Starfire.
Yes, there you go.
Oh yeah.
I think I have those in the long boxes lurking around somewhere.
I love that 8-issue series.
Now, if you actually, probably my favorite, if you flip the names around, is actually Firestar from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, Angelica Jones.
So,
she was all our favorites. If you like the Bronze Age, because as soon as you saw her in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, it was all done. That was one of your favorite characters.
Yep, that's it. Jeez, I think we're book number 5. I think we're at here.
You are correct.
Oh, there we go.
Now, in my 12, I don't have a whole lot of Marvel, although I do have some Marvel in my collection. I'm a big Iron Man guy as well. I've got Iron Man through, I think, issue 60 through 300. So I've got a really nice run. And then everything else from there is hit and a miss, just buying stuff for covers, over the years. But this issue 100, again, bought off the spinner rack. This one was at the Little Professor Book Center in the Washington Mall. Fantastic. I've just always simply loved this cover. And we're inching our way into the Bob Layton era of Iron Man. So he started doing Shellhead not too long after this, and did that book for easily, oh my gosh, up through I think issue 160 something at that point before he kind of took a break. Sean and I had the pleasure of meeting Bob Layton in Punta Gorda, Florida, about a year or so ago. And again, somebody else I'd heard mixed opinions about, like he's unapproachable, he's short with you. He could not have been more incredible with us. Talked to us, was hugging us. We told him stories. I mean, I took him a few issues of my Iron Man that my dad got me a subscription at one point. So they've got the Marvel crease in them where they're folded.
Oh, wow.
Out, so I showed him some books. He's like, they folded the books. I'm thinking, come on, you knew they folded the books, but it was something, awesome stuff. But I think this is a Starlin cover, if I'm not mistaken. But just such an iconic cover and that look, and I love that suit. That again, we talked about the characters are the characters. Even though Starlin does this cover, by the time Layton takes over a few issues from now, you can't tell the difference.
Right, and that's my favorite Iron Man outfit to this day.
Yes,
that's my favorite suit.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. So fantastic stories. Of course, everybody knows Demon in a Bottle and everything after that.
But it's funny that like certain artists you associate with certain characters, right? Like for me, John Buscema with Conan, or Ron Wilson with The Thing, and you just Neil Adams with Batman and John Byrne, just and George Perez. Like some of these guys, you could give them any character and they could draw it, and it was beautiful.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. Speaking of George again, here we go. Justice League of America. Let me see, I lost my numbering there. Is that, I thought it was 64. It's 194. Again, another spinner rack book. I was a young kid. A lot of books of these that are going to come at you here all came from that Little Professor Book Center in the Washington Mall. It's so sad to go by that mall in my hometown when I get to go back. It is just a shell. You can find people digging through it on YouTube. It's completely collapsed. I don't know why they don't tear it down. I have no idea. But I used to go to that mall every weekend with my friends. I used to work at the movie theater at that mall when I became a teenager, but the movie theater has been leveled. It's a pile of rubble. But it's another George Perez book. Great lineup of the JLA here. Fantastic stuff with, you got Zatanna in here before, she kind of gets a little kind of hypersexualized, the way she is today. But just fantastic pencils by Perez. And he did the Justice League for quite a while, bounce it back in here. Issue 200 that he did is that, wraparound cover that is fantastic. But just great stuff. And I just always loved, because I got drawn into, I think I'm probably more of a DC guy, thanks to When I Was Born and what was on Saturday morning cartoons. Because Marvel kind of skipped a beat after they had their little kind of, 1966 sing-along, cutout cartoon character, things that were before I was born that was on TV, the Hulk, the Thor, Iron Man, Submariner, that's the thing. And then DC hits the ground running in 73 with the Super Friends. And that show was on the air all the way until 1986. And it went
forever.
Different incarnations, obviously. We could probably talk about our favorites. I'm going to go Legion of Doom, Challenge of the Super Friends. But, a generation of kids like me fell in love with the Justice League of America and those core characters from DC because of those shows every Saturday morning. Marvel didn't get back into the mix until Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And then they did the Hulk. And then, of course, they finally got back on top of things when Fox came around and they did the X-Men. And, then it was all – then we were
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember correctly from my 80s, right, it was DC brought their comic book characters into animation, whereas Marvel took animation and made it into comic books. Like two different roles, right?
Yeah.
So, and I get it, and both of them are extremely important to my childhood because I was kind of.
I'm amazed that George Perez made any money for the detail he put into those books.
I know, right?
Imagine the amount of time it took him to draw that wraparound covers all the time.
If he wasn't such a nice guy, and to have Neil and George pass away in consecutive weekends in comics, you want to talk about a gut punch.
It was
back-to-back weekends,
right?
I remember when I found out that Neil passed. I don't shed a whole lot of tears, because I'm kind of straight up guy, whatever. But my big joke is when something moves me, I tell people, man, I haven't cried since Spock died. You know, so I always like my recurring dad joke, you know, that I mentioned. So, but when Neil died, I had to like process that during the day. And my wife at one point just asked me, she's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I think I need a minute." And I just went to my office and I kind of just let it go. And then the very next weekend when George passed, I mean, we knew that was coming, of course, but I just didn't think it was coming that quickly.
Yeah.
So
I remember
going to do a signing
George Perez at a C2E2 event, and I'm not a hugger guy. Like, I'm a handshake guy, right? Even for women, I'm a handshake guy.
Right.
And then like George Perez is a hugger.
Yeah.
You may not have known that. Like if you meet him walking around and you just kind of chit chat with him, like he gives you a hug. And I feel so bad about this. Like, I'm gonna burn for this. But it was like, oh, we're doing this. Like, I just we're doing this. And then
you just froze.
Passes away, and I was like, oh, I was a dick.
Yeah, am I a jerk for that now? Yeah, no.
So
no, you
there's
won't go to
something
hell.
significant about that book that you showed too. You want to share that?
Wait, what's that?
There's something significant about that book as well.
About this one here? The Justice League? Other than it being just one of my favorite covers and stories, I'm not sure is there.
Tell us, Joe. Tell us.
Yeah, you have to hit me up with that one.
No, what we'll do is we'll play a game with the audience. If you know in the chat, put in the chat, and we'll do a giveaway tonight. I'll give something away.
Oh, okay, very nice.
You know in the chat,
Googling,
if you know why, put it in the chat, and no guesses. Like, you have
Googling.
to
know.
Oh yeah, they're all Googling right now.
Yeah, they're Googling it now.
Key collector
and
app.
they will pop up.
And G-Man comes out, and I'm the hugger. Yeah, he is, brother. He's a hugger, all right. Well, let's keep it George, I guess.
There you go.
George.
Issue 16, New Teen Titans. Now, for whatever reason, like I said, I fell in love with the Teen Titans thanks to DCP issue 26 there. I don't know what, because I was young. We're talking 1980. So I don't know why I didn't start actually collecting the Titans, but this is one of the first books of the Titans I got off the spinner rack. Now, I had since gone back. I've got the whole run now, but this was one, and that's why I wanted to pick this one, because this is one of the first ones of the Titans I bought of my own off the spinner rack, and I thought it was significant too, because a lot of people like to talk about how they don't feel there's a lot of good, strong female characters represented, and that's why they're flipping things in comics now and in the cinema and stuff like that. Go back and read this book. You want to talk about strong female characters from Donna Troy and Tori. The backhand that she gives Dick Grayson after she's trying to grieve when her fiance Terry, the Hive agent, is killed in this book, bap, and sends him back. Like, we used to get those little threats, from I'll knock you in the middle of the next week. I mean, she literally pummels him and sends him flying across the room because he's trying to, like, it's okay, let me comfort you. Boom. He just gives him a backhand and sends him flying.
That's what he gets.
Yeah, right. But it is it's just again the beginning of the fantastic stuff. And again, they're tucking things here in. This is your first appearance of Captain Carrot, if you like that sort of thing. And the inside pages here. But again, just tremendous stuff. And when I got this book, I was officially hooked. And every week or every month at the Little Professor Book Center, I was back. I was like, you know what? That's where I'm at. I'm back, and I got this book monthly, I think, all the way up until like issue like 74. I collected it monthly. Boom, 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 boom. Got it every time. Never missed a beat. I was hooked after I bought this.
Now I'm hoping to see a team that premiered in that book come with the James Gunn universe. I'd like to see Night Force.
Okay, yeah. I don't
something
know
odd, and something dark.
And who knows what we're going to be, with this action strike still going on. I don't know where this is going.
Now, and you can't show a Titans book without telling us who your favorite Titan is. Mine's Donna Troy.
So mine is Starfire, although I'm a big Robin guy. When I was a kid, I loved the Adam West Batman show in syndication and reruns. And I know a lot of people gravitate towards Batman, but, because I was a young kid watching it, it did what it was designed to do. Robin was our favorite, That's what we, that's the hero we wanted to be, because he was more, at least supposedly closer in our age, to us, So Robin's a close second. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the Nightwing switchover. About 30 issues from there. I think it was in 43 or 44 when he swaps out officially, and they had changed the title of the book by then. But things have to change. We had to get Jason Todd. He couldn't be parading around, like that. So, but let's keep rolling along here, and we'll dive back.
Now you're talking.
So now we'll get into the sword and sorcery side of what I enjoy. This is one of the first solo series, not a first appearance of Red Sonja, but it's first solo series type situation for her. And this is a little interesting here because I like Dick Giordano's work. A lot of the stuff he did in Brave and the Bold, and occasionally DC Comics Presents, and some of the stuff he did on the Batman solo titles. So we get Dick Giordano here with this, but then the very next issue we get Frank Thorne, and Frank Thorne becomes like interweaved and associated and pretty much iconic by doing Red Sonja from that point forward. Finishing up Marvel Premiere, there's the great crossover towards when we get to the end of Marvel Premiere. I think it's issue 7 or 8 where it crosses over.
5-issue crossover with Conan the Barbarian.
That's fantastic. And I saw on your show earlier, you were talking about how you thought Belit was his soulmate rather than Sonja. I couldn't agree more.
She's a fighting companion. She's not.
Yeah. Occasionally, like you're supposed to, you read, you kind of root for them to get together every now and then. But when you step back from it, you're like, you know what? They're not supposed to be together.
Right. Even Zenobia never took Belit's place with Conan.
Yes. So, but this fantastic book. I mean, this is great to see. And again, strong female characters, please. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this is your great example all day long. And I'm hoping they do it justice with the movie that we're going to get.
I think they will, because Matilda Lutz is perfect for that role. If you've ever seen Revenge, she can act and do action. So I'm hoping that everything is good from there. But what also gives me hope for that too is the same guy who made the Red Sonja movie made the Solomon Kane movie.
Yes, I did see that, and I went back and watched that movie again after hearing that was the connection, and I was like, okay, this is all right. I mean, I liked how it started out. I mean, the energy.
The ending was a little weak, but the potatoes up to the ending was pretty good, even though they changed Solomon Kane's origin a little.
Yes.
Which I always hate when they change an origin. But, and
sometimes it fits. Sometimes
you have to change an origin, right? Like, but I get what you're saying, and there was no necessary.
And what's also important about this series, so this is Marvel Feature Volume 2. It says Sonja's first solo series, which lasted 7 issues before getting her own self-titled series. But without this series and her self-titled series, we don't get Frank Thorne doing Gita of Alazar.
It's probably true.
Because that was his version of Sonja where he didn't have to be tamed.
Yeah. And I don't know what they're doing with Dynamite and Sonja these days. I keep hoping and praying every time I'll buy something new. I just bought this Savage Red Sonja come out last week. I'm like, please. I'm like, oh, great cover. Oh, God.
The story was just okay, but it was a mimic of a story that they did in Savage Sword of Conan, where she ended up traveling with a prince and his sister, and she ended up falling for the prince, and then there was a bit of disillusionment, but I'm like, all right, hopefully this isn't based on that, because I think that's where he drew the inspiration from. He's trying to make it his own thing. Mark Russell had a good run until he left, and then that run went completely down the drain with Mark Russell's departure.
Yeah.
The problem with Dynamite is they'll just throw anyone on the title, whether they know the character or not, right?
Yeah, and you've talked a lot about the cover matching the interiors. Dynamite is so guilty with that not being a thing. Like you're like, oh my gosh, this cover. Then you get inside, and you're like, what did I buy? They're night and day.
And I wish they would spend the same amount of effort on getting proper storytellers and artists in the book as they do hiring cover artists.
Yeah, for sure.
Those cosplay covers, that's what gets them.
No, not me. I don't care about cosplay covers at all. I want art on my covers. I don't care about the cosplay covers.
Yeah, that's what I'm there for.
Snap a picture.
I don't buy the cosplay ones. I only buy the art ones.
Yeah.
Any cosplay covers I have been sent to me through other people.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I keep them because they're gifts.
Let's make our way to the Big Red Cheese. Got hooked on Shazam as a lot of kids my age did with the television show with Jackson Bostwick. This particular comic here I got at the Public Library Comic Book Exchange. And I don't know if you want to know what I traded for this book, because I just didn't know. I gave away the death of Gwen Stacy to get this book.
Wow.
Nice.
So, but it was just how
are you feeling about that today?
Yeah.
Like you passed over that like it meant nothing to you.
Because my thing was, again, this is my naivety. I went to this event. I thought, oh, we're going to trade comic books, and then we'll come back next week and we're going to trade back.
Yeah.
We're trading for keepsies. I thought we would just like, oh, hey, you want to read this? I loved this story. Read it. Like, oh, you love this story? I'm going to read it. So
hard lessons learned, huh?
Weekend, and I'm like, this is a great story, but we can trade back now. And they were like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. That kid isn't even here. That book's gone.
We sold your shit.
Gone. So,
And he's going, ha, 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 ha.
Well, probably then nobody really even knew what
then Gwen Stacy's dead. She's staying dead. Who knew it was this whole Spider-Verse thing, right?
You can't bring him back.
But first appearance of Minuteman here, love the cheesiness of it. Talk about a comic book when it needs to, leaning into and knowing what it is. This early Bronze edition, after DC got the rights to Shazam, did exactly that. So of course I've since gone back and collected all these, got the Black Adam issue and everything. But this was actually a book obtained in my youth. And I remember being so surprised and shocked when it was Mr. Mind. It was controlling these, these bruisers that were battling Shazam when he wiggled out of one of their ears, and I was like, "Oh, dude, it's the worm," So that was pretty cool. I was not expecting that at all. So that's a nice little reveal in this book.
And good
but
movies
these are
too.
fantastic. What's that?
Good movies too.
Yeah, not bad. Now that second one, I don't know. So, but
nobody liked it. You can say it. Like, let's stop pretending that people like that movie. I watched it in a movie theater. I fell asleep. You're good.
Who I thought Shazam should have been was the guy who's playing Jack Reacher on Amazon, Alan Ritchson. Look like this. This is Alan Ritchson all day long, right here.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. That's perfect.
Jaw and stuff like that, and that heft that he brings. Not Chuck. He
also played Hawk on the Titans, right? That's the same guy. Are we talking about the same guy who played Hawk on Titans?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. No, he'd be great.
Damn, all day long.
Yeah.
So
built exactly like he should be.
So I have a question that you brought that up, and as a themed collector, as I like to say, and one of my themes is Golden Age collectors. You have a significant book there that deals with not only the Bronze Age, which is in your title. How compelled does the book make you feel that you need to kind of collect that Golden Age first appearance of Mind and Shazam?
I don't know. I think maybe because I'm reaching the point now where I don't have an extremely large pull list of modern comics. I'm only reading. I'm getting Shazam, as you might imagine, Green Arrow, which I'm not too pleased with, but now the Conan by Titan Comics.
Oh yeah!
Wow, that is my book of the year.
Looking at that and thinking, hey, those Golden Age. I go to conventions. Where are you at?
So since that modern list is shrinking, and I've fulfilled most of my runs and my lists, I can maybe see myself going for some, I guess I'll call them grails,
Yeah.
But no, I don't have anything from Wiz Comics with Shazam. I don't have
that's
any.
A big rabbit hole there.
So it is. Yeah. And that's a problem for me. It has been with Bronze or anything I get into. If I find something I'm like, oh, well, now I got to get the whole series, So I'm a little worried because obviously that's a little pricier. And on a teacher's salary, I'm not going too far down that rabbit hole.
Just charge the kids. Charge the kids an extra $1.
Hour of food for a month or two. That's fine.
There's a couple books in there, digging back that I wouldn't mind having, in the collection. All right. Well, here's number 10. I'm a Star Trek guy. So this is 33? Yep. Issue 33. This is the 20th anniversary of Star Trek at the time. Little did I know as a kid grabbing this off the spinner rack, again, Little Professor Book Center, Love the artwork by Mike Sutton. Len Wein did the story here. This is a great story that feeds off of episode 19 from TOS. Tomorrow is yesterday, when they went back in time, and they're in the process of getting flung forward. So this story tells it differently, rather than them just showing up in their regular 23rd century time period, but it flings them past the era of the Wrath of Khan, and they see themselves, older versions of themselves, on the Excelsior. So it's really, now they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We got to get back. So Spock, of course, who they think is dead because Wrath of Khan has happened, they then bump into a Vulcan ship, the Surak, and he's piloting it. So they're like, wait, what? So you're not in our universe. So it's so crazy because Spock is on the original Enterprise from the 60s. So there's no Spock on the Excelsior, and they're like, wait, who's that guy? Because like, if he died, what's he doing there? It is such a roundabout kind of stuff, and they eventually have to pull in the Guardian of Forever, which is a little bit of a MacGuffin sometimes. But again, fantastic story. Mike Sutton's art in this.
I was going to say that. How good is that cover, though?
I know, amazing.
That cover is so good.
I mean, the emotion in these faces. I mean, Shatner would just eat this up all day long. Be like,
I know. Look at him. Kirk's like, yeah, come at me and see what happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got to come at you,
It screams. Yeah,
but fantastic. I've got most of the Star Trek stuff. Now, you mentioned some of the older books. I'm just now starting to dip into the Gold Key Star Trek. I hadn't collected any of that.
That was a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be careful there. So,
and one of those properties that's ended up at just about every publisher it could end up at.
Oh yeah. Well, Star Trek's famous for that. They're going to sell themselves to whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going strong right now.
What's that?
They're going strong right now. That they have 4 or 5 different books out.
Yeah.
So I have to ask.
Yeah.
Right. You get the decision, and I think I already know your answer. Like, I'm figuring it out as I'm seeing your stuff and hearing you talk. If you could have 1 or 2 weapons, right?
Yeah.
A lightsaber or a phaser.
I'm going phaser all day long.
Yep. Hell yeah, you are.
You can't set a lightsaber on stun.
Yeah,
they're both made out of the same material, right? That's the science. That's the woo-woo science.
There could be a copper crystal in those phasers.
Plasma-based weapon.
Yeah, Kevin.
What about you, Joe? What are you picking out of that?
Oh, phaser. I'd rather shoot somebody than get into a sword fight with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a lightsaber guy, man. I'd go.
I'm
with
not trying to
lightsaber.
hang out with you all day long. I just want to pew pew.
And that's it.
Indiana Jones. He had a gun, the guy had a sword, phaser, boom.
Now, Brian, though, you can't say the original series because that's too easy. Outside of the original series, what's your favorite Star Trek mythology show?
Well, I'm probably going to go Next Generation because I was still, that teenage guy living in the basement in Pennsylvania at the time, nerding out, on Saturday, and I was so excited when Star Trek was coming back to TV. I'm like, wait, what? TOS is my first love. I watched it in syndication. I collected the Mego figures.
Watched the cartoon.
But they adorn my walls here in the Star Trek office.
I think it was horrible.
So I've met most of the cast. Got my picture with Shatner. Just recently, a couple months back, we met Chekhov in Tampa. So really good stuff. So outside of TOS, Next Generation for sure. I am enjoying Strange New Worlds. I'm enjoying it. I didn't enjoy season 2 as much as season 1. It was a little bit off.
I've heard that.
But still love all. Again, talking about good casting. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one of my favorite memories, and you tell me if you share this too, because I got an inkling you and me are around the same age. I remember the first time I went into a grocery store, and I grew up in a semi-rural area.
Yeah.
And we went to a grocery store, and the doors opened automatically. And my very first fucking thought that went through my head was,
oh yeah,
Star Trek.
Yeah.
We're in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet all the stars from this thing?
The only ones I did not meet DeForest Kelley or Leonard Nimoy. They had since quit doing conventions whenever I started going around doing stuff. But met Nichelle Nichols, Sulu. I'm diving into the next generation people now. Met Dr. Crusher just recently, Gates McFadden, John Delancey, who played Q. So I'm kind of sliding into that arena now with stuff. So
Very cool.
But
Now, Joe, you didn't have that feeling too? Like the first time we got flip phones? Like the first time we got flip phones, I'm like, this is Star Trek.
Yeah, you did it. You did this, didn't you?
The phone open.
You made the noise in your head. Yep.
I'll
You
never
instantly made the
forget.
sound in your head, right?
I can't explain.
No, he didn't. He
I
did it
can't
out
express
loud.
to people the emotion of when I wanted to get into like sciences and stuff. When I walked to, because grocery stores still had the old open door where you pulled the door open.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, I walk into this grocery store with my mother. And my mother kind of walked up to the door looking for a handle. And like, we're not primitive rednecks or anything here. Like, this is new technology to us, to everybody at that point. And when the doors opened automatically, like, the first thought in my freaking head was the future.
yeah.
We're here.
It's the 23rd century. It's here
STEM
now.
program before STEM was a thing.
And then Joe had it all ruined for him, where the next thing he heard was canned goods in aisle 9.
Yeah. Clean up in aisle 7.
Your favorite cereal is right here.
Yeah,
sir.
Joe's heading for the cereal aisle.
Definitely,
Right?
Bobby. Oh my.
Yeah. The
Oh,
Sulu.
my. By the way, collectors to astonish. I need you to hit me up on Instagram. You were right.
Oh, and while we're on Star Trek, let me see.
Uh-oh.
I have
Now he's
here.
got to show something off.
We've gone down the rabbit hole, folks.
No. I got it. Ooh, I almost knocked over my
Oh
drinks.
shit! Now
So-
you're gonna knock everything over.
You must have this in
Oh,
your
yeah.
collection, right?
I do. My sister got me that a few years back for Christmas.
Now, isn't it weird the way they swap the nationalities of some of the characters in it?
Yes, and again, I don't know what the thought process is.
And it
with
throws
that.
you off. And
Yeah.
it came out after the original show, so why?
So
Might have been a mistake. Who knows?
publishing stuff, who knows? Yeah.
But a fun record and read along though.
Yeah. And those book and record things, again, I wish I would have kept those, I used to get
Yeah,
those all the time. It came with a little comic, the little 78.
Little Power Records.
Yeah, the records. I've got one that I kept. I don't have it at my fingertips here. My dad loved horror movies, and I got this like Frankenstein, Dracula, and Wolfman thing with a comic on the inside. It's a 33 1/3 RPM. Oh, it's legendary. I love it. The artwork is fantastic, and the story goes right along. It has that little ping when you're supposed to turn the page. It's wonderful. Love it.
Nice. All right, also, number 11 with an extended personal story attached.
It's a personal story. I mentioned Green Arrow would return.
There he
This
is.
is this is issue 106, am I not mistaken? Yes, issue 106, still volume 2, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. And this is the first comic book I bought with my own money.
Yeah,
Oh.
there we go.
I had earned 50 cents. My sister, I was a little bit of a chatty kid. My sister would pay me 25 cents an hour to be quiet. I was for 2 hours. I got 50
I don't
cents.
think that.
Brilliant.
And then my grandpap was going to the smoke shop. He said, "Hey, I'm going to the smoke shop, get stuff for the pipe. Why don't you come with?"
Okay.
Excuse me. And so he took me there. What do I see? I see a spinner rack full of comics. And I said, "Would you buy me a comic?" He's like, "Did your sister give you money?" I'm like, "She did." He goes, "You can buy that book on yourself. You'll love it that much more." I'm like, "All right, makes sense."
He was right.
So he was, and I still have it to this day. And here it is.
Yep.
So love
Wait,
the cover.
hold on. I don't want to interrupt. That's the
Sure.
original book that you bought from
Yes.
back then.
Yep.
That's kind of impressive. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to take a moment to just memorize it. That is super impressive.
Yeah. I there was this like large cigar box thing. My mom had a friend who worked for U.S. Tobacco in Tennessee, and she had sent my family this like some kind of oak cigar box, It was tall and it was wide, and it would hold a
Oh,
comic.
with the books. Perfect.
It's the book. See, it was some kind of
Nice.
shipping box, like if you ordered multiple boxes of cigars, and she sent it to them. And anyway, it had somehow come to me, and I used to keep like dice and game pieces and stuff in it, and then when my dad started giving me some comics, and I started putting comics in there, and this got put in there, as did some of those other books I showed you. They got put in that
Amazing.
little cigar cabinet, and it protected them because they were just laying flat, and there wasn't that many of them, so it didn't bend the spines or do anything that way. But this
Wood's a great way. Like, I know people love their cardboard, they love their plastic, but thin wood that can breathe is a beautiful way to store a comic.
Yeah,
so
it is
fantastic. And then this is a great carryover story from the issue before, where Green Lantern is fighting Sonar, and that calcium monster gets loose, and they have the plane crash, and they're trying to protect that beauty queen over here. It's just a fantastic book. Just love the whole story of it. I remember when I started like reading comics, as I got older, and I went back and I looked at this, and I was like, is that Parallax? I had to like refresh my memory, from that book. And like, oh no, it's that calcium monster creature that got loose. So, but again, still one of my favorite books. Love it. I have such a great memory. Makes me think of my pap. He always had that pipe.
It's important, man. I'll be honest with you. I think that probably like screw the value of a book, but the sheer fact that you can probably smell that tobacco smoke and everything else, like that's super solid, dude.
Oh no, it's got a smoke shop little smell to it. Yeah, it does.
I was gonna say that's got to instantly transport you back.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Like, cigarettes smell like shit, and I smoke, but I also smoke a pipe and cigars too. So
So that was
good. Pipes always smelled fantastic.
Yeah, pipes always smell good.
Nice.
That's
so
incredible.
now we're to your spec.
All right, so now amaze us, sir.
Okay, now let it be known, I'm not much of a comic book spec person. Now, when I jumped back into the hobby in like 2016, and the YouTube train was going a little bit, I have to admit I did fall into a couple of bear traps. Like, chase this book. Oh, this go. I did that for a little bit, but I'm like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. So I got out of that real quick. But so if I had to pick a spec, we've already talked about the potential movie. Now this one is not off the spinner rack. I purchased this recently with my friend Sean at a microcon we went to. And I know it's not the first appearance, but it's her first cover appearance.
It is.
So,
It's the more desirable book.
Yeah.
And one of the best covers in comic book history, in my opinion.
Again, so I'm doing my
You're a little
little
biased there.
I love
Jerry.
the side set too.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah. So there's a chance that this book gets a little traction. I know it's a little bit valuable. You get this slabbed, it's up in the hundreds sometimes. But just raw, you can find it probably between $50 and $80 raw, depending on
the level of detail on that cover.
Yeah, it's like a George Perez level.
Yeah.
Well, that's Barry Windsor Smith for you. I mean, he did that in his panels, which is why he was late sometimes, and they would run a different thing, or Gil Kane would do a fill-in issue.
Right.
So why? I know you kind of vaguely said why, but why specifically is this a spec book?
Well, I mean, the way that maybe not at the comic book expert level, but I think just at the community level, the eBay level, this is one of the books they'll probably turn to. If that movie pops, if it's excitable, if it draws.
So do you see this as their first team up where they're going to pick up the story, or what?
Well, no, that's her first cover appearance, so that's why that would heat up.
Right, so that's why, yeah. So, and I know you got the whole, like, you can have the Hulk 180, Hulk 181 argument, Wolverine on the cover, Wolverine Shadow in 180, whatever.
Right, because her first appearance is in issue 23, where she's in the whole
issue
story.
Before. So again, you could have that logical argument that, well, why isn't it 23? But I think, like I said, the collectors are going to want her on the cover. They're going, well, I'm not going to want her in page 18. I want her on the cover. If I'm going to pay $1,000 for a book, she better be on it.
Just
Especially
like
if it's being slabbed. If it's being slabbed, you got to see her on the cover, right?
Yeah.
Not
so if a book is going to pop
we do
Marvel or something else, in the Marvel MCU, I think this is going to be it.
Yep.
It's got possibility. Let's just leave it at that.
So to Bobby Delgado in the chat, no, Taylor Swift could not play Red Sonja. She does not have enough jiggly going on. Like, I'm just telling you, brother. Man, that is horrible.
But if we get that rumor going, this book will shoot up in value, just like the Dazzler book did.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't.
You know, Taylor Swift, she could be a good Dazzler. She does everything she does 100%. But my pick for Dazzler would be Dua Lipa.
Okay.
I honestly, I would probably just pick some chick off Pornhub that has jigglies.
But Dua Lipa's got the vocals and she's got the sex appeal too.
I'm just saying, they're actresses too. Don't judge.
That's
Give them a sword, put them in a bikini, and let them run around. I know this sounds toxic as shit, but I'll tell you what. You look at the cover he showed us earlier about Red Sonja and tell me she doesn't have the jigglies. You gotta have the jigglies.
Well, Frank Thorne, he got famous and associated with her for a reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why people like that cover.
And then if you went to his Gita of Alazar, it was like Gita naked through most of the stories.
Mm-hmm. And even if you look at Red Sonja when it did come out in like the 80s and that, right? We're dealing with that actress. Yeah. She was a little right?
She was a little too dudeish.
Yeah.
Bridget Nielsen.
She still had some jigglies to her. Like she had a little jiggle to her.
Yeah, but her acting was horrible.
Yeah.
You know what? In the 80s, everybody's acting. Like you remember the movie Cobra.
Oh yeah, with Bridget Nielsen again. And she was married to Sly Stone.
Yeah,
like,
she was
just
married
before
to
they got married.
He's in
Look
Rocky.
at something in the past and call it bad is like watching something tomorrow and immediately calling it bad, right? It's going to translate to some degree.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
I still love Clash of the Titans.
Oh yeah, that's another one. A DVD I can drop any day of the week and watch. Love it.
Anything with Harryhausen effects, forget it. I'm there. I still watch the Sinbad movies all the time and absolutely love them.
Oh yeah.
I love if I'm traveling and I'm somewhere in a town where like they're running Svengoolie and he dips into one of those old movies, you know, and you get to see that pop
Oh
up.
my God, that's the guy from Chicago. Like I was trying to think on my comic book review channel, shameless plug. I was trying to think of the guy that does that because we have Dr. Madblood here on the East Coast. And I was trying to think of the guy in the Chicago and his schooling. I was trying to. God, now I feel like.
Now, Joe, are you familiar with Matilda Lutz, who's playing Red Sonja in this movie?
Yeah.
All right, I was gonna say, she is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful. Like I'm not. I will never judge anybody on their.
She's
look.
a good actress, and she's got the jiggly.
Well, if she jumps enough.
I don't think you've seen Revenge.
Needs more.
I don't think you've seen prosthetics in a jumping motion.
This wasn't
the
the
original
original
parts.
not anymore.
Hey, look, I'm not here, folks, because I'm PC. I'm here because I'm slightly toxic.
Nah, you're here because you're the Joeist Joe I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great
When you're
book,
on,
Brian.
you're exactly what you should be. You're you. No, but Brian, man, those are great books, man. I love the stories, especially, and I'm gonna mirror what Joe said, especially the first purchase with your dad and stuff. That's just great stuff.
Yep.
But amazing, and it was actually really nice to finally meet you and actually converse with you. Besides little text messages and
Correct.
and Instagram.
Yep.
And that's
our big group's hoping to converge on Heroes Con next summer. So maybe who knows? So.
Well, and that's one of the best things about doing this show is you get to meet new people all the time, and then your group just keeps expanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Heroes Con is crazy. If you look, folks, if you've never been to Heroes Con, I don't know what's wrong with you. But here's my problem now, and help me out in the chat. I'm scared. Here's why I'm scared. Me and a couple of the guys went to it, and we realized what it was. We started telling everybody else, and then you know what happened from there? Everybody started showing up.
No balls.
Now the problem is everybody's going to realize it's just another Comic Con. So if you're coming to Heroes Con, shut the fuck up. Stop.
Now,
I don't want to ruin it, man. If it's a secret, let's keep it a secret.
But before we're going to go around the horn here in a second too and see what everybody's got coming up. But before we do that, Joe, being our veteran on the show, would you like to tell people why this weekend's important?
So first off, what you need to know is today is the Marine Corps birthday. So I would like to express a happy birthday to all of our Marine out there in their own tongue. Hoorah, 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 kill, kill. Happy birthday, Marine Corps. And then we have this weekend is, of course, Veterans Day. Hey, guys, veterans are only as good as they are as the support that they get. So not only do I want to thank our veterans out there, I want to thank you for supporting us. It's a very different era. I deal with a lot of Vietnam era people, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate not only the veterans that do and have done, but the great support that we've gotten on top of it. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And remember, this is not Memorial Day. It is Veterans Day for the living. So celebrate that. And thank you for being alive today.
Well said, Joe.
Wow.
Agreed.
Now, with the cordials out of the way, Steve, what's coming up for you, sir?
Oh, well, I just did another it's an unbagging video that I just dropped. I just did another video today, an unboxing video, and got an ongoing series with Mad About Mad. That's what's going on with me right now as I'm finding my way through the channel, being a new influencer in the world of YouTube.
Yes, he just started his YouTube channel. He keeps forgetting to tell you guys what it's called. It's called
Oh, yeah.
Comics of
Well,
the Voice, so please go sub it up.
Hang on, right there. See, I put it below my name too.
Now, that way you couldn't forget it. You're getting better. I'll give you that.
Slowly. Lots of mistakes will be made, but
No, but guys, on a serious note, go check him out. Steve's a great dude. He's got a great collection. And Joe, what's coming up for you, sir?
So we got, of course, our weekly comic book reviews, which is dropped down where I read the modern comic books and I kind of break them down and I try to bring some nuance out there to you, the community. In this latest episode, we talked about the difference between mental disorders and behavioral disorders. And we used the latest Batman comic book to kind of break that down, along with breaking down all the other comic books if they had anything interesting in them. And then we turned around, and of course, I just dropped my Evil Lair projects and builds video because I'm a super just out there, in your face kind of guy. I have a totally different channel where if you come up with a great idea from a comic book or a concept from a comic book, hey, I'm going to try to make it. And we got something kind of weird coming up, probably about January or February, thanks to our boy here, Gary B, because he hates me and he challenges me and he knows how to challenge me correctly. So we're going to come up with something super weird, but I'm going to make him do some video intros for it.
there you go.
Stay on top with that. But I'm going to tell you what, folks, meeting The Voice tonight and meeting Age Bryon, this is my first time meeting these guys. That's who I'm subbing. The moment I come off this live, that's what I'm going to be checking out. So I'm an influencer and super popular, and you should listen to me. Or maybe just check them out and see if you like it. Let's find out.
Right? And Brian, what's coming up for you, sir?
So, well, much like these guys have a YouTube channel as well. It's been a little silent lately because not only do I, what I do on the YouTube channel, I do as a career. So every once in a while, I'm just like, my eyeballs are burning. I can't come home and edit stuff and then go to work and edit stuff. So it gets a little bit much sometimes. So I kind of just put it on pause. But you can check out the channel. It's literally almost 3 years worth of me traveling around, not only in Florida, but to other states, visiting comic shops and conventions. So there's a lot of great stuff if you want to go back through the archives and see all the great shops and people that I met from like 2019 through 2022. A lot of good stuff in there. As far as us coming up, we're going to be getting together with the group again the first weekend in December. We've got a great couple that we know up in Longwood and near Orlando called the Comics Den. They've got a big sale coming at their house we're going to. And then as we inch closer, MegaCon is huge, and it's early this year. It's the first weekend in February. So the group's getting together again. We'll see Bueller, and we'll see Steve and Jeff and Sean and everybody coming to town for MegaCon. So we're excited for that. So not a lot of activity YouTube-wise. I am active on Instagram. It mimics the YouTube channel. And much like Joe said, I'll be subbing up all of our friends. I've already been on Gary's channel ever since he reached out to me, but got to add Steve and Joe to the mix now at this point.
But I hear he's unsubbing me as soon as the show's over.
I'm in.
Oh, all right. Coming up for me next week, we're doing double 10-1-1s again. I'm just kind of ending the year with 10-1-1s because I love it. It's my favorite thing to do on YouTube. But we will be having in the future, I'll be getting back to some straight interview shows too with In the Hot Seat. And Brian, I'm going to invite you back for one of those where it's just a straight interview show. We learn about you and collecting.
Cool.
And the influences. So I'll reach out to you about that after the new year when we start doing those again. But next week we have Izzyverse on Tuesday, and maybe if Joe's inclined to come back next Thursday, we have Remy Q on.
Whatever. Oh yeah, I need to be here for Remy Q.
All right, so Remy Q next Thursday.
Bring me on because I know how to make Remy Q blush.
There you go.
If you want to see that, you need to show up.
And follow Jackson Roy Kirk's example. He rage unsubs me every day. What he does say is he resubs me back with more love than he unsubbed me.
Yeah.
So, but guys, I want to first of all thank my co-host. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joe, for coming on, guys. It's always great to have people to do the show with. Your perspectives are great, and it was nice to actually put you two together. That was a big reason I invited you on tonight too, Joe. I thought you and Steve would get along great.
Oh, we're BFFs. We're doing karate in the garage after the show.
We just became best friends. Like, if you don't know our friend The Voice, just real quick, I know I'm taking long because that's what I do, but The Voice apparently understands how metals melt together. And if you don't know, I have an evil Lair. So I love this kind of stuff.
Fire is the best.
I'm going to be looking you up. I hope it's kind of similar. You know what? Just we'll talk backstage. I need you guys' Instagrams. I need to know about you.
Yep.
And then check out Steve's show coming out soon called Check Out My Beads.
Or Rolling Dimes.
I like them dimes up, baby.
Rolling Dimes.
But and Brian, thanks for coming on, man. You were an awesome guest. It was great to meet you. The books were awesome, and thank you for the stories, man. That's what it's all about with comics to me, is the stories and what makes them personal to us.
Yep.
So I appreciate that you came on and opened up and told us some great things, and I love that we always see something different from everybody. It's just great. And also, I just want to thank the chat. We had a great chat tonight, a lot going on. People were pouring in and coming in, and thank you all so much for the support. And as I like to end all these things, keep it casual.